In this video, I'm going to show you how I generated $44,000 in just 18 days without any sales calls or paid ads inside my Skool community. And the product that I was selling was $14.97. So it wasn't a super low ticket item, but it also wasn't a super high ticket item. And that allowed me to sell these in volume without having any sales calls. So in this video, I'm going to show you how I set up my Skool community. I'm also going to show you the funnel that I'm using. I have a little diagram here and I'll walk through each of these different steps and show you how I did that. Then I will also show you how I generate traffic so I can get people into the Skool community using my content engine database. This allows me to store all my content with a unique ID and really just stay organized so I can produce a lot of content. We publish over 100 pieces of content per week. And then I will also show you the email and the post I used inside the community to generate that $44,000. So let's jump into how I set up Skool. And the one insight I want to give you as you get launched here is just really not to overthink that launch. We all start with 0 members and with little to no engagement inside the community. And the fastest way to change that is really to launch the community and start interacting with people, learn the problems that they have, and then help them solve those problems. That's the fastest way. When you see other communities that have tons of different programs and free courses already inside, most of them didn't start that way. And in fact, mine didn't either. Mine just started with this one course, and that was just enough to get launched. I recommend having 3 different courses, but they're quite easy to implement, and I'll show you how to do that. But make sure you don't overthink things. You want to just get launched and you can figure out and change most things from there. So I have a quick checklist that I'm going to go through. And the first thing that you're going to have to decide is whether this is a public or a private community. And unless you're an existing business with a ton of different products that are all successful and you know you have to have multiple communities in order to serve all of the different types of clients and to segment them, I would recommend going with a public community that people can join for free and that they can also interact with without having to log in. So you notice here I'm loading up the Content Academy in an incognito window where nobody is logged in. They can see all of the posts. They can actually see group calls from products so they can interact. I've literally had people watch the group calls and then become a client because they could actually interact with it. They can access the classroom. There's 3 different courses that they can access without becoming a member. They can look at the calendar. This just adds a lot of transparency and it allows people to gain a ton of value and get introduced to you and your products and what you're all about very quickly. And that ultimately is going to lead to more sales. The more people you're helping and the more people that are talking about you, the more you can build out your brand, the faster you're going to grow. The next thing you're going to need is a purpose and how you help people. This is a simple statement that you can add to your Skool site, and I recommend making this as simple and straight to the point as possible. I help people get clients with video and I help them put their content on autopilot. So you want a simple and clear message so people can know how you help them so they can really kind of start to decide whether they want to be inside of your community or not. Then you're going to want to make sure you have an introduction post. This is a simple post that you can pin to the top of the feed that's just going to give people a template on how they can introduce themselves and get started. The easier you can make it for people to engage and get started in your community, the better. There's so many distractions, so just make it easy. I even show them how they can just copy and paste the template and then answer the questions. I also go over some best practices and there's a poll here that they can answer, but you'll see here as well, and I'll go over this a bit more when I talk about the classroom, but there's also a link that goes over to the classroom that gives them additional instructions on how the community works, how points work, how gamification works, and how when you gain points, you can actually unlock other courses. But you just want to make all of this dead simple so people can get going and get engaged with the community. Now, I also recommend starting the community with 3 different courses. This is a lot easier than you might think. I have 3 courses here. In the first course here, step 1, unlock everything. I'm just giving some basic instructions. And remember, this screen was also linked from the introduction post. So you can see I'm interweaving the communication and the important posts and the important courses so that people can easily find this stuff. So there's really only 3 different pages inside this course, and it's just a step 1. Make sure you read this. I talk a bit about what the Content Academy is, and then I also give an introduction to the paid courses, programs that people can click on right from here, and they can actually purchase them. So again, all this course is doing is giving people information on how to actually use the community. On this second course here, all I'm doing is focusing in on the paid programs. So it's almost similar and repetitive to what I put here, but it's just another place that people can access that information. They can look at the products, they can see what they do, and then they can also get access to all of the testimonials from the people that have gone through the program. So they can get access to that social proof very easily. Even in this second course here, there is really nothing other than just the description of the products and then testimonials, and that's it. And then the third course is where I have a real freebie where people can access this course and they can watch a bunch of different videos that will help them build out their sales generating content machine. And really, these are all from YouTube videos. I just took all of the YouTube videos that I had previously done and I put them in a very specific order and made a course out of it. So before I had created this course, I had already created most of these videos on YouTube. So it was pretty easy for me to just take these and embed them into a classroom on Skool. But if you don't have that, then just try to record one video where you give away something really valuable and you put that inside your course. When they come in here, there's just going to be one main video. Maybe there's a template or a worksheet that they can download and use in conjunction with your video. But just keep it simple. Have that course there, have that single video, have that single worksheet, and then you should be good to go. But that shows you how you can start with 3 different courses and get launched pretty quickly. And none of this should take you a ton of time to put together. Now, you also want to set up your calendar. This is another great way to interact with people. It can be a free call or it can be a link to your paid program. So if somebody comes to my calendar, they're going to see the 2 paid programs that I currently have. If they click on one, they will see the time and the date. If they're not a user yet, this will be disabled, but they can also learn more here and they can learn about the product, and then ultimately they can see the testimonials and then they can purchase it. So hopefully right out of the gate, what you're seeing here is that the community is great for providing value where people can ask questions, they can interact, but there's plenty of places and ways to introduce people to the paid programs in multiple ways so that no matter which way they came into the community, if they're engaged, they will be introduced to them fairly quickly and in a way that makes it easy for them to actually purchase it. And again, without a sales call. Now, you also want to set up 3 different posts. So before you let people in, go ahead and come in here and write 3 different posts. Maybe one of them is introducing the freebie here in your course section. It's describing what it is, but just make sure you have 3 different posts just so when someone comes in here, it's not just completely empty with just your introduction. And then once you have all 3 of these, you can really launch. The next thing to do after that is to find your core members. So as you start to get people into the community, make sure you engage with people, find out what they're all about, find out what they're interested in, find out what their goals are, what their problems are, and really start to build some connections with the 5 to 10 people in your community that are going to be the most active, because those are going to be the people that help you build a thriving community. I have 1,000 members here in the community. The metrics are saying that about 48% of them were active, and I would say about 5% of those, or maybe 10% of these people, are actually people that post and comment on a regular basis. So it's not always about how many members you have, but how many actively engaged people are there, because those people are what give your community momentum. So make sure you find those 3 core members and start interacting with them and helping them, providing them a lot of value so that they can help you grow your community. So there you go. This is the basic checklist that you need to get launched. Don't make it any more complicated than this. This is going to be the hardest part, getting people into the community and finding people that are truly interested in being there and want to contribute. So the fastest you can get here, the fastest you'll actually be able to grow your community and then make sales out of it. So now that we set up Skool, let's talk a bit about how the funnel actually works. And I'll do that by going through this document here. Now, one other thing I want to point out here in the funnel is that you also don't want to try to perfect things here as well. You can see here, even in my own funnel, I have these little marks here, these exclamation marks. To me, that is telling me that I haven't completely finalized this piece of the funnel yet, or I feel like there is room to improve. And you can see they're scattered all over my funnel. You want to build out your funnel, your ideal funnel, and what you think is going to be successful, but you don't have to have all of these different pieces in place in order to launch. I want to run weekly workshops, but I haven't. I want to do better on social media, on my DMs, keeping track of things, but I haven't. I want to have a discovery call for a potential high ticket program, but those things are not in place, but it's not keeping me from doing sales and generating income in a relatively short period of time. So all funnels are going to start with traffic. You need to generate traffic, either organic or paid traffic, to get people to even know that you exist. I prefer organic traffic. It's free. And as long as you do good quality content, it works really well. You can see the results of growing a community solely based off of organic traffic, and you can generate quite a bit of traffic in a short amount of time. So this comes from posting content. It also comes from making comments on other people's posts. It could also be interacting with people in DMs and letting them know about your services. But for myself, the majority of it is coming from my YouTube channel, where I've got about 2,700 subscribers, and then also my TikTok account, which has about 45,000 followers. But I'm also creating traffic from LinkedIn and places like Instagram. And I plan to double all of the content I'm producing over the next couple months, because what I've really found is the more content I create, the more money I make. Now, from social media, where I'm generating the traffic, I make it very easy for people to get a free automated system to help them generate a lot of content. So when you're on my TikTok page, I have a link here. If you click that, it's going to give you 2 choices. If you're on a cell phone, it'll look more like that. Very typical for your social media profile. So if I click this is going to allow them to get an automated system. So if they fill out this information, we will send them a freebie that they can download right away and start to use. And that freebie is a simplified version of my content engine database. So they can fill out their name, their email, where they heard about us. And from there, it is going to email them a link to Skool where they can access the free course. If they don't want to wait for the email, they can go ahead and just click this and it'll take them to the community as well. And from here, they'll be able to access the free course, the content database from here. And if they do so, they can watch that video. I've got the resources here, some free automations that they can use. But then I also have another link here, which will allow them to see the paid version of the same thing they just bought. So that traffic leads them to my social media page where they can access that freebie right here. And this form is built out in Typeform, a very simple form. I like that it's clean and it doesn't distract people. And then again, once they fill out that information, they get the thank you page and then they can access the free Skool site. When they opted into the freebie, they are going to get put on my email list where I start to send them helpful emails and videos and testimonials. And then shortly I will introduce workshops and I will fill those workshops from the email list and then also announcements inside the Skool community. But once people are in the Skool community, we do have an automated DM in Skool that will reach out to them and figure out what their goals are and we can start to have a conversation around that. We also send an email so that we can start a dialogue that way as well. And for the customers that do have some questions, in the DM and in the email, there is an opportunity to schedule a quick call with me. They can also access that same call link from within the classroom if they have additional questions or even from this page here. It's a 15-minute call. Most people don't end up booking a call, but some do. And for those that do, the 15 minutes is usually enough to describe what the product does or answer any of their remaining questions. That's this discovery call here. And then from there, people can purchase one of my 2 products. This is the primary product that people are purchasing. And if you're new, I do recommend releasing just one product at a time. It's really hard to build 2 products at the same time and have them both be successful. And then again here, this is actually part of the funnel that isn't built out yet. I do have a high ticket offering that I'm putting together. And when I release that, part of my funnel will be to upsell the different members in these products into the high ticket program. But you can see here, the funnel is relatively simple. And most important of all, it is not complete. I feel uncomfortable every day that this isn't to the standard that I want it, but I released it anyway, and it's still able to generate a good amount of revenue in a short period of time. Now, I do have a couple of automations that help me in this process. One, to send people the freebie and access to the free Skool site, and then also once after they purchase. So I'll go over each of those zaps here quickly. So once somebody comes to my social media and they click that link and they request the freebie and they go through this form here, this automation will trigger. It's pretty simple. All that happens is when there's a new entry in Typeform, we double check to make sure that the email is valid. And then if that email is valid, I do a step here just to grab their name from the Typeform. And then I add a couple of tags to the new subscriber in ConvertKit. And then I invite them to Skool with that free course. And then I also send a message to our own internal Slack that a new lead came through. But this is all we need to do in order to facilitate this particular piece of the funnel in purple here, the freebie, the thank you page, giving them access to Skool, and then also getting them on that email list. And then there's one other zap that I use in the actual purchasing process. So when somebody is in the Skool community and they find one of these numerous links that takes them to the payment page, this is a landing page that is built out on Thrivecart. And so if they come here and they go through everything, they read the testimonials and they finally purchase, it's going to trigger this automation here, which is looking for a new purchase. It's going to find the lead or add the lead in close.io. We're going to send them a couple of different emails. One of them is an email that will tell them all the next steps. Another is an upsell that they can purchase if they want me to do the install for them. I charge an extra fee and I give them an opportunity to buy that here. I also set them up and add a couple of tags in ConvertKit for the email list so I know they're a customer and I know which product they've purchased. I create an opportunity in close.io and I also add a record into Airtable. Airtable is where I do some of my customer success tracking. And so I add them to Airtable so I can make sure that I'm reaching out to them and making sure that they're getting through the product successfully. So you can see I only need 2 zaps to make this whole thing work. One to facilitate the freebie and get them into the Skool community, and then one to actually help me once they purchase it, make sure that they get access to everything, have all the required material and links to everything that they need to be successful inside of the course. And then what I do week to week is I open this up and I look at the funnel and I look at the items that are subpar or not in place at all, like the workshops. And then I will just start to say, what is the most important thing in my funnel that I need to fix right away? And then I spend my time and energy on that and only that. So I've wanted to release workshops for a long time, but I just haven't because there is more work to do on the traffic side. And this has more bang for the buck than for me to launch a weekly workshop, which is a lot of work. And then of course, rolling out an entirely new product altogether is a lot of work. And so you can see this has been sitting undone for quite a while. So make sure you map out what your funnel looks like. Make sure you have everything in there, but also make sure that you have the restraint to only work on the things that you need first and foremost. Start making money, start pushing sales through the funnel. And then over time, you can always come back to the places that have problems and improve them strategically. But if I tried to do all of these things at once, I would get overwhelmed and I would do a bad job at them. And then the whole funnel would produce less revenue than if I was just trying to keep it simple. So that's how the funnel works. Now let's talk a bit about how I generate traffic. I generate about 100 plus pieces of content a week. Soon I'm going to hit 250 pieces of content per week. We have a plan for this. And I do generate most of the traffic on YouTube and TikTok, but I also have secondary channels that I'm also using: LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and Threads. And I'm going to be using all of these a lot more and more effectively soon. There's just so much free attention on these platforms that you can really build a business out of nowhere quite quickly. But in order to generate that much content, 100 plus pieces of content a week, and now moving to 250 pieces of content per week, I did need to develop a system that allowed me to really control the chaos as I scaled out my content marketing program. So I do use a platform called Airtable. It's really like a spreadsheet on steroids, and I have a few different automations that help me connect up Airtable and Google Drive so that I can store every single piece of content that I produce with a specific unique ID. And it has a lot of metadata around publishing and the brand and the workflow and the status and who it's assigned to, which video editor. And it also gives me a lot of direct links to review the content or find the content. So I can always click a link here, go directly to frame.io, which allows me to interact with my video editors. I can make comments on the content that they're creating. I can leave comments, which they can get in real time. I can control the status, which links back to Airtable. So I can get a high level overview of all of the content that's in the system and the different workflows and the different YouTube videos that I'm working on and the thumbnails and all of these different pieces of content so that I can control the chaos, gain visibility across all of the content and all of the team members, and even interact with them on Slack. So you can see here I'm getting notifications that things were published. My team can get notifications when things are ready for editing or whether I need to review something and approve it. But that's what this system allows me to do and how I'm able to generate all of that traffic. I can see all of the content I'm working on. I can see the status. I can see that this needs copy, a video, a title. This one needs an image. You can see that for all of the content, and then you have direct links to everything. I can get access to the copy. I can write out that copy here. I can get access to the video, and all of the folders in frame.io and Google Drive are automatically created for me. I don't need to create any of these folders for the original assets, for the recorded assets, or the final assets, or the thumbnails. All of the organization of my content system is all automated so that I can just keep focused on producing the content and helping my team get everything done in an orderly fashion and pushing it out to social media. And we can actually use scheduling platforms like Metricool if you're interested, and publishing that out from Airtable directly so that I don't have to then download everything and then republish it again. It can all go out from Airtable itself. So having a high volume of content across all of these platforms has really been key to helping me grow. I also try to stay focused on specific types of content where I'm talking about the problems that my customers face, the symptoms that they have in their daily life, so I can talk about those things and help them through those things and help them navigate those situations. There's also agitation content where you're talking about things that they're doing that they probably shouldn't be doing and what they should be doing instead. And then solution-based content. This is where you're talking about client results, behind the scenes content that really show that your solution actually works for problems that they have day to day. But the content engine database, this Airtable system with all of its automations and integrations with frame.io and Slack and Google Drive, allows us to scale and create that volume without the chaos with a very small, cost-effective team. So the final piece is really just to show you the email and the post I used inside Skool to help me generate that 44K. We talked about how I set Skool up, how the funnel works, how I generate all that traffic to get people into Skool in the first place. Let's take a look at that email and the post. So the email was very basic. I don't don't claim to have a lot of these persuasive email tactics. All I really did was let people know that I have a new version of the Content Engine database coming out, that if they acted now, they could save $1,000 and 40%, and that they would get the new version of the Content Engine database when I released it on August 16th. So all I did was talk a bit about what I've learned over the past couple of years, producing a ton of content and distributing that through the automations that I've built. What have I really learned that has provided a lot of value and that is making that next version even more valuable? And then I talked a little bit about some of the specific features, how it's quicker and easier to install, how I added better support for ChatGPT and images and graphics and other platforms like Twitter and written material for blog posts and text posts. I also slipped in a testimonial right here. I had a client that just in about a month's time went from posting 1 to 3 pieces a day with 2 fewer video editors. So I talked a bit about that win here and linked to the testimonial. And all of these links here went directly to the landing page in Thrivecart where they could actually purchase it. It doesn't matter what link you use here. And then I talked about how I'm raising the price, but if you get it now, then you can get it at the cheaper price. So that was the email that I sent out. And then inside the community itself, I literally mostly copied and pasted that. I converted the text a bit just to be a little bit more appropriate for posting into the community and get more personal to the community, but it was essentially a copy. So all I did was I made 1 email post and 1 post into the community, and that was all I needed given all of the work I had done previously, right? So I had already built the community. I had already educated people on the different things that I do and why they're valuable. And so once I had done all that work, it didn't take a lot of notification to get people to take action. A single email and a single post inside of the Skool community. So with those 2 actions, I was able to generate the 44K. I probably could have done other things. I probably could have made more money if I had reached out and done a bunch of DMing to different people in the community, but I just tend not to like to do that. I don't like to DM people. I like to create content and get customers. I pretty much focus on that. I don't like to do a lot of the DMing stuff. I often tell myself that I'm going to do it and then I don't do it anyway. So I just focus on what I'm good at, creating community, creating content, creating good products. And it seems if you do that and you produce enough volume on social media, then you'll be able to create enough traffic to grow the community and have enough people to buy the products. So as always, I hope this video was valuable. Make sure to check out the next video. It's going to pop up on your screen just over there. Make sure to check out the next video where I go in depth on how you can create your own content engine database. There's a template and some videos that you can follow, and you can start to build out your own automated content machine. Check out that video. I'll see you there. Have a good one.